What's the first thing you usually think about when you wake up? The first thing I think about upon waking up is how much I do not want to wake up. I hate waking up. I've always hated waking up. Some of my earliest memories are of fighting with my mother about waking up. Mornings are the worst because it is the longest possible time before you are free of obligations again for the evening night. Then I spend the next 10, 15 minutes mentally pleading with the universe to please, please, please let this relentless cycle of work end. I'm good at multitasking, so I do this while taking a shower. And then I go to work. Lather, rinse, repeat. Story 2. Why the fuck did you think it was a good idea to stay awake until 4 a.m. playing that stupid game? Now you have 12 long hours of work ahead, barely slept 3 hours, and you're not even that good at that game. You're 38, goddammit. What is wrong with you? Story 3. I've been trying to make gratitude my first thought. When I wake up, I take a second to appreciate the fact that I'm alive, healthy, and have a new day to experience. It helps set a positive tone for the rest of the day, even when life feels chaotic. Story 4. Music starts in my brain. Today, and for the past week, it's been, do you remember? The 21st of September? The horns are blaring with the big buildup and boom, pop up and move on to what I'm wearing. What's for lunch? I need a new toothbrush. Is the lunar eclipse today? 15 jillion thoughts at the speed of hyper as earth, wind, and fire are blaring in the background. Definitely puts pep in my step. Story 5. The first thing I usually think about when I wake up is checking my phone for any important notifications or messages. But honestly, sometimes I think about whether I still have time to hit snooze. Story 6. My pumpkin spice coffee or my morning run lift. I personally love waking up in the morning. I like it when it's dark outside, so I personally enjoy the mornings. Focusing on positivity, but not too hard, because if you try to manifest positivity, it might backfire. Anyway, love the AM. Story 7. How absolutely absurd and outlandish my dreams were, and how it feels like I have a brain the size of a pea in my head. Such a weird feeling that I can only describe as that LOL. Story 8. Did I remember to bring my dog back in the house? For context, he's 15, blind, and needs me to take him outside at least once a night when I'm in a half-sleep daze. I'm always worried that I left him to circle around the backyard for 5 straight hours. Story 9. I should probably go to the gym, go to church, maybe pick up a musical instrument to play instead of just video games. How about making myself a healthy, balanced breakfast? Follow up on jobs I recently applied for? Maybe go back to school? Nah, I'll just sleep in until right before I gotta go to work. Story 10. It's been a year since we broke up, but most of the time, my first thought is Abe Tier. I don't think it's because of the relationship part, but because of the 6 years of friendship that we had and how we used to text or call each other first thing in the morning. Story 11. Obviously, the first thing that hits my head is if I have to pee, but after that, I just kind of go into auto mode. I have a sort of morning routine that gets a bunch of stuff done really quick, and I don't really think about much of anything except how long is that coffee going to take to get done. Story 12. Do I really have to go to work today? I used to be a morning person, but not anymore. I don't know if it's my medication or the depression or PTSD, but I do not want to get up in the morning. Last weekend, I slept all day Saturday and most of the day Sunday. I was able to sleep at night as well. Is anyone else experiencing this? Story 13. First thing, overthink the weird dream from last night trying to make any sense of it. Like a cow rowing on a boat of Coke cans in river of lava, or of a dream where I was about to bite into a penguin kebab. My dreams are very weird, so mostly those preoccupy my mind in the morning. Story 14. Is the baby breathing? Quick, get up before people need me. Am I hungry? Do I need a shower? Are clothes ready? Did I make pack up? Is there enough milk for cereal and a cuppa? Did I clean the air fryer or has the cat got in it? All of these thoughts come simultaneously. Story 15. First is figuring out if I'm actually awake or if it's a dream loop. Then check my phone to see if I fell asleep after the alarm or if I woke up too early again. Followed by trying to push the limit on how long I can stay in bed until I have to get up to get to work on time. Then in a zombie state, get ready while wishing it was illegal to have to get up before 8 a.m. I usually get up between 5, 6 a.m. Story 16. Sometimes my first thought of the day is completely incoherent because I just woke up from some really weird dream. The rest of the time, it's just general annoyance about having to get up, or annoyance directed at a cat if I was woken by a cat. Story 17. Currently, most mornings, I'm jolted awake with anxiety due to cortisol overload. Menopause sucks. I just have to lie still and tell myself it will pass, and I'll be fine by 8.30 when I start work. So my first thought is more of a mantra I repeat until the cortisol level drops enough for me to go and make a coffee. Story 18. What the did I just dream? Followed by, here we go again. Well, shit doesn't hit the fan if I'm not there to throw it. And topped of with, wifey's still asleep. Let's cuddle for another 15 minutes, sprinkled with the obligatory morning wood. Story 19. Weekdays. OMG, what time is my first meeting? Have I overslept? Am I presenting anything today? Have I done all my work tasks from yesterday? Am I forgetting anything? I swear to God, if they figure out the chaos I operate in daily, they would fire me. Why can't I get my work shit together? Saturday morning. I don't have to work today. Yay, I can do anything I want today. Do I want to go to the pottery studio, take Kima, one of my dogs, kayaking? Ooh, I could go fishing. Or I could go back to sleep. Zzz. Sunday morning. Oh God, tomorrow is Monday. What time is my first meeting? Am I presenting anything tomorrow? Have I done all my work tasks from last week? What even happened last week? I can hardly remember it existing. Am I forgetting anything? I must be forgetting something. I swear to God, if they figure out the chaos I operate in daily, they would fire me. Why can't I get my work shit together? And it should be noted, I actually enjoy and like my job. I am just a stressed out ball of ADHD-driven anxiety. Story 20. After seeing how unhappy my parents' lives were, I vowed that I didn't care if I had to live in a cave and eat berries. I would not exchange my lifespan for work or money. And somehow it just worked out that I didn't have to. All of my life, my first thought has been wondering what the weather is. Story 21. Whatever my dream was about, I lay there in disbelief for at least 10-15 minutes unless I'm sharing a bed with someone who can keep me calm. I almost always have nightmares/terrors. The only way to avoid them is to lucid dream. And when I do that, I either dream I'm flying, fighting, or I talk to people I currently have issues with in my life. Either way, when I wake up and go straight back into reality, it's a total mindfuck. Every time. Story 22. My kids. Usually one of them is snuggled in beside me, and I'm hanging off the side of the bed. The first thing I think is, shit, my alarm is going to wake them up. The second thing I think is, I better get my shower now while they're asleep so we will all be ready to leave for school on time. I read a lot of the comments talking about dreading going to work. I used to feel that way, and sometimes I take for granted how lucky I am now to have the life that makes me content to be awake. Story 23. I wonder if every stranger I meet will still think I need to be punished with abuse today. Will today be the day that I find out why I am being punished? Then I shrug and go about my business, same as it ever was, just slightly less interested in looking both ways while crossing the street. Story 24. I don't wanna. How many hours until I can go back to bed? Followed by a little pep talk about how I can make it through my day and be back home before I know it. Then after a few more grumbles, I'll roll out of bed and start my day. Story 25. It depends. But usually it's been, I don't want to go to work. I'd rather stay home in my bed. Or it's me thinking about a paper or an assignment for class that's due soon. And I get overwhelmed by it. Anxiety hits hard in the mornings for me. Story 26. I think about 17 different things soon as I wake up in 4 different songs. I think I have an issue where my brain does not shut off and is constantly thinking 24/7. It's a curse. Sometimes this problem wakes me up in the middle of the night and my mind just doesn't stop, man. I don't get it. Story 27. I recently got a new mattress so sprinkled among all the normie. I don't want to go to work. Why is my alarm so loud? Thoughts I get to feel good about how comfy my new bed is and how much better my back feels compared to waking up with random agonies every day, so that's nice. Next theme. What massively improved your mental health? Story 28. Honestly, lockdown in 2020. It really showed me just how asocial I was and that limiting social interaction was essential for my well-being. My blood pressure went down and I stopped biting my nails, which I'd done for nearly 30 years. I'm by no means a hermit, but I don't force myself to socialize nearly as much as I did pre-pandemic. Story 29. Understanding that I'm doing fine. A lot of people have it much better than me. Some people have it unimaginably worse than me. I am happy to be average and to have some options in life. I wish I had understood when I was young that I was mostly like other folks and better than some. I spent too much time in my 20s trying to be popular and stylish. I follow my own road now and have helped some folks find their own. Cheers! Story 30. Starting to realize that not everybody thinks about you, just like the same way you don't necessarily think about other people. Once you realize that, you start not giving a fuck about what people might think or not because they're not thinking about you in the first place. Not sure it makes sense, but in my French mind it does. Might get lost in translation. Story 31, stop watching any and all kind of news and being okay with not being in the know. I know nothing of current events, politics, drama, and I'm better off for it because most of what you see on the news is simply rage bait and not actual reporting. Story 32. Journaling has been a game changer for me. It's like having a low-budget therapist who's available 24/7. I write down everything that's bugging me, and somehow seeing it on paper makes it seem more manageable. Plus, doodling in the margins is a nice bonus stress reliever. Story 33. paying attention to my thoughts as they come and go, and detaching from the ones I no longer want to associate with. I.e., life is meaningless. Wait, no, fuck that. Life is full of the meaning I give to it, or I'm such a loser. Nah, fuck that. I love myself, and I think I'm pretty cool. Helps rewire the brain. It's the perfect example of fake it till you make it, because at first it's like, why would I say this? I don't really believe it. But if you tell yourself enough positive things over time, you'll start to believe them more readily than the negative. Story 34, hope. A whole lot of hope, definitely, and working towards something inch by inch so I can leave my home and live in a place where I can actually focus on healing, just hanging on to that like a lifeline RN. Also taking care of myself like I do others. Story 35, honestly, the right people. They can help you to achieve everything you've ever wanted. I can't go outside for long periods of time, but the right person makes me want to stay outside forever. When I'm not in the mood to do things that make me happy, the right request or nudge really pushes me into action, and I never regret it. Doesn't have to be a person either. An animal can be just as effective. Be My Stupid Cat made me smile and feel better when I was on the brink of living. My friends drag me out and make me eat stupid food when I've been in my depression cave for months. Just one dumb creature might be the difference. Story 36. Honestly, starting therapy was life-changing for my mental health. Having a safe space to talk through my issues and gain insights from a professional helped me understand myself better and work through deep-rooted challenges. It wasn't an overnight fix, but the progress I've made has been incredible. Story 37. Breaks and good sleep. Make breaks, go to sleep early, and sleep enough. Your efficiency will increase. If your efficiency increases, you have more time for yourself. More time for yourself, hobbies. And with that, your mental health will improve even more. And so on and so on. Oh, and especially nature. Going for a walk in the nature makes me so happy. Story 38. Deciding I was happier alone. I spent virtually every minute of my adult life in a series of serious cohabitation relationships, always trying to put their needs ahead of my own. I had enough. It's just been me and my son for 8 years now. It's honestly great. My family says I'm selfish, like it's my sworn duty to have to pair off and be in a relationship. Already did the marriage thing. No thanks. I love that I can do what I want. When I want. If I have to work 100 hours this week, nobody will complain. My son is grown and works with me. If I want to build a boat out of reclaimed materials, again, nobody to stop me. Nobody blowing up my phone because they woke up from a nap dream where I cheated on them. Just no drama. Story 39. Giving up most of my care about where I'm supposed do be in life, and most of my care about if other people think I'm not doing well enough or whatever. Seems counterintuitive, but caring about life less had made life a little more enjoyable. Also, cut way back on any kind of arguing, discussing on social media. Story 40. Spending time working on my mind, reading, meditating, gratitude, nature. All the junk our minds consume these days. News, fake news, junk politics, incessant fear of the future, ... It, quote, S no different from your body consuming junk and getting fat. Your mind is a garden and it will grow what you sow. So spend time in your garden and make good days ahead. Story 41. Changing my way of thinking. This has made the biggest impact by far. I know it sounds cliche, but there's so much truth to it. Instead of thinking negative about the problem, think of how it is positive. Think positive first. At first it feels like work, and then you start to do it automatically. Watch your depression and anxiety disappear. Mix that with lifting weights 4 times per week and walking every day, and you will be a brand new person. Story 42. Eating food. I've got my bag of dysfunction, so I'm prone to anxiety and depression. Without having enough nutrients, the mind gets even more scattered and short-tempered. I'm nowhere near cured from these with a healthier diet, but I'm not ending every work shift in tears either. No eating disorder, just disordered eating. Story 43. Meditation and getting enough sleep have really turned things around for me. Meditation helps me calm my mind and handle stress better, kind of like hitting a reset button. It's amazing how much clearer and more centered I feel. And making sure I get enough sleep has done wonders for my mood and energy levels. I'm always surprised at how much better I cope with everything when I'm well rested. Story 44. Staying active, eating healthy. I didn't have the best work-life balance, but I did my best to make time for what made me happy. However, I'm all the way in rock bottom again because I'm swallowed whole by financial stress and caring for my mom that is sick from cancer. Hopefully life will get better for me again, but I can't find any energy in me to do things that make me happy anymore. Story 45. Oddly getting old. I say oddly because most people I know 50 plus are fucking miserable and I don't get it. We get a 10, 15-year window between the 50 years it takes to figure shit out and then back to pooping our pants. And people choose getting angry at strangers on social media and watching TV. No thanks. Story 46. Incorporating mindfulness and meditation into my daily routine made a huge difference. Learning to stay present and manage stress through mindfulness practices helped me gain better control over my thoughts and emotions, leading to a noticeable improvement in my mental well-being. Story 47. Learning how to acknowledge all of my feelings is valid, but then thinking about the reason for the feelings. After finding the reason, deciding whether my feelings were based on false information, if there is something I should and can do to address those feelings, and so on. Story 48. Ranting and at the same time having a capacity check, where before I rant, I ask my BF or friends if they have the capacity to listen to my dramas. LOL, same case for me. I get asked if I have too much to handle already, or if they are okay to rant. Story 49. Unironically, Office Space. That movie has some good lessons. I've stopped giving a fuck about a lot of things, not neglecting anything, but I've stopped caring what others think of me. I don't have anxiety over losing my job. I can always find another job. I was at one of the low points in my life when I saw it. Haven't been back there since. Don't plan to. Story 50. Sleep plays a huge factor in where I am at with my mental well-being. Doesn't help I have a 2-year-old. Medication. I tried raw dogging life after being on meds for 5 years and it was terrible. So I've accepted that I'll probably always be on meds. And then, probably the biggest one was changing my mindset. I fell into the hole of the poor me. My life sucks. Why does everything bad happen to me? Zero motivation. To recognizing and taking hold of it, being responsible for my own actions and how it's actually only up to me to change myself and get myself out of the pit. Story 51. Money. I was working for $15/HR at a job I hated, barely able to cover rent, and any car repairs or unexpected bills made just pushed me further and further into depression. I landed an IT job where I started at $19 per hour and went to $25, then $30 per hour within a couple of years. I was able to save money. I was able to pay off my debt. I had hobbies. I started dating again. I wasn't paycheck to paycheck, so I took time off of work. This small change in income completely changed my life. Anytime someone tells money doesn't buy happiness, I feel like punching them for how much of my life was dictated by poverty. Story 52. Quitting my stressful job and changing fields. Didn't even realize how much of my physical mental health was affected by that whole GD career path until I quit. And then every month was a new revelation. Oh, I haven't had a headache in months. Oh, I've never slept so well so regularly. Oh, my prior levels of needed escapism were actually concerning, and so on. Story 53. A congenital heart defect. I was put on a mild sedative to control the A5 that the defect created, and peace. As it turns out, I've lived with a serious anxiety problem my whole life. Lots of impulsive U-burst issues, and it's just gone. It feels like cheating in a lot of ways. Story 54. Exercise. Cannot emphasize enough the physical and mental uplifting effects. Eating right. Either grow your own food or shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Fresh vegetables, fruit, and proteins. Stay away from the interior of the store. It's all processed and loaded with chemicals your body doesn't deal with well. Become the one for yourself. I'm a hopeless romantic and was hoping to meet the one for me. It's a sweet idea, but true emotional strength and maturity is born of being enough for yourself to feel whole. If you also have or find someone who magnifies or compliments you, even better. Gravy, frosting. I went from being a shadow or mimic of those around me. My identity was tied up with who I was with. I wasn't me for myself. When I figured this out, my anxiety and blood pressure dropped. I stopped worrying about what other people thought of me. At times I do feel alone, but never lonely. Never not enough. Game changers for me. Story 55. Finally being diagnosed with an iron deficiency. Depression wasn't the reason I didn't want to get out of bed or cook or clean or go out. I didn't have the energy to do any of it. 4 years of being prescribed antidepressants before a different doctor found the real problem. Always get your blood work checked. Walking does wonders for my mental health too. Story 56. Do an exercise routine that sucks every day. You will get stronger, healthier, and your mental resilience will go through the roof. Do 100 push-ups or chin-ups or kettlebell swings every day. Whatever you do, 100 is the magic number. Good volume, even for beginners. Once you are able to do them reliably, go up 100 more reps. Just one exercise, that's all you need. After a couple of months, the pain will be replaced with endorphins. Work out high. It's addictive and great for your mental health. Lowers cortisol levels and resistance training burns fat. You should up your protein intake to make this sustainable. Easiest way to do that is with a protein shake. 2 scoops. Gold Standard is a great choice. Vanilla ice cream is my favorite. Take Epsom salt baths when you do this. Helps recovery. Have to work in the morning? Go to bed early and wake up early. Get up at 4 a.m. and do your workout. Soak in tub. Protein shake for breakfast, maybe with bacon and eggs, high protein. Shit, just upping your protein intake without working out will make you feel better. Inside of a week, you'll feel more energized. Story 57. Uninstalling social media apps from my phone and replacing scrolling with reading. Or doing something else, but usually it's reading. I still use social media when I am at my desktop, mostly Reddit, really. But you'd be surprised at how much you aren't encouraged to use it if it's not in your pocket. I haven't used most of my accounts in months. Story 58. I'm in the process of fixing things in myself, and it might sound cliche, but don't be afraid to cut toxic people out of your life, no matter how vital they may seem. Family, friends, relationships. It doesn't matter if they treat you like garbage, then they don't deserve to have you in their lives. Story 59. Sleep. Not just quantity, but quality as well. What you eat, drink, do before bed, etc. do change the quality of it. Like caffeine is a good example. A lot of people can fall asleep after a coffee, no problem. But it will have a negative effect on quality. So caffeine is good for you, but poison to close to bedtime. Apparently 8h before bedtime, no more caffeine is a good idea for most. Story 60. Getting the right supplement mix and genetic testing. Turns out my treatment-resistant depression was based on a lack of folic acid, which in turn meant a mutation on the MTHFR gene. I must take omega-3 and folic acid, methylfolate, every day in order to not fall into a deep depression. Having a social life and the feeling of community is the second big pillar of mental health for me. Stopping shopping for some reason made me feel amazing. Just looking at things and not buying them makes me feel so relaxed and at ease with myself. It's ridiculous. Trying to wean myself off social media, I am not good at it at all, unfortunately, but most likely it will help too. And my cats, of course, they are the best. Story 61. Honestly, getting the correct diagnosis. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression, as well as BDD and PTSD as a teenager. That was all overruled by a BPD diagnosis in 2016 when I was almost 20 years old. I was given treatment, DBT, and group therapies and medications, but that didn't really help much. In 2022, I diagnosed with autism and last month with ADHD and had my BPD diagnosis revoked last year as I didn't fit the diagnostic criteria anymore. I've now been able to find other women my age, 27, who have had the same experiences, and being able to bounce off each other has helped me learn to cope better with regulating my emotions, pacing my energy, etc., and my mental health is so much better for it. Also, in that time, I found the love of my life, and we adopted a cat, so those definitely helped. Story 62. During COVID, we started going for long walks in 3 120-acre gardens near us. It was the safest place to be out and about at that time. Walking in nature really can be a mood lifter. We still do it a lot. Also going to the gym now. I use a red light therapy panel for exercise muscle recovery so I can keep exercising, and it also helps me sleep. It's very relaxing, and it makes my facial skin look good. Story 63. Martial arts and any physical activity that is also mentally stimulating / feels like creative problem solving. BJJ, rock climbing, and fencing are big ones for me. I hate just going to the gym, even when I'm doing well. It doesn't help me mentally. And getting myself to a point where I want to be changed by as many experiences as I can be. Therapy, fights / ruptures with family, time with friends. I don't want to come out of things without them having been meaningful if I could have made meaning. I want to grow and not get stuck in my ways and dig my heels in. And that's really changed everything for me. Story 64. Becoming 420 friendly and leaving alcohol behind and stopped eating meat. Omnivore has proven best diet for humans. Still went vegetarian though and lost 100 pounds. Went from obese to shredded and feel like I can fly. Everybody loves me now and I get so many compliments on my looks, it's crazy. Story 65. Not working in corporate America. So much unnecessary stress disappeared quite literally overnight. I got lucky and got a job with a locally owned company. I now tell everyone I know that if they have an opportunity to leave their corporate job, do it. All the work in making a change is worth it when you work with a person instead of a corporation. Story 66. I learned to value my time, dole it out conservatively, and respect my boundaries. I thought love was being accessible at all times to everyone. What ended up happening is I was always the support, but I was burning out. I had no restrictions, and with everyone taking just a little out of me, I had nothing left. Now I have strong boundaries. I know how to say no, or I'm not in a good headspace for this. I enjoy my solitude and don't feel guilty turning the phone off and limiting access to myself for a time. And I've found, because I have those boundaries, I'm now in a better place to care for people when they truly need me, because mentally I'm stronger and more emotionally sound. Story 67. Talking with someone who actually wants to listen to my problems. Sometime they didn't even reply. Just hearing everything out loud made more sense than in my head. It's been a huge help, and I know you may be thinking there's no one like this for me, but trust me, there is always someone willing to listen to you. Just don't forget to be thankful to them and listen to them as well. Hope you all eventually get out of that deep situation. I love you, and you will always have a stranger from the internet cheering for you. Story 68, therapy worked great. Also, listening to and reading everything that I could from Brené Brown. The woman is a treasure. Once you begin to understand what is going on in other people's heads, you can start to unravel what is also going on in yours, as well as where what is going on in yours is through a conscious or unconscious manipulation of others. I'm not saying everyone is trying to manipulate you, just that sometimes the way people deal with their own shit is projecting it onto you, which is not your fault. Story 69. Think it through. Face the things that make you depressed and anxious, putting it all into perspective, forgiving yourself and others, acknowledging your strengths and accomplishments. Build on those. Don't beat yourself up. Scroll less and make something. Stop listening to the negative voice in your head. The devil is a liar. Story 70 years of meditation, 6 months of therapy, changing habits, creating a morning and evening routine, quitting weed and caffeine, eating healthier, exercising, and prioritizing sleep. The thing that improved my mental health the most is energy healing and meditation. However, all of these were really helpful. Story 71 stepped down from a prestigious position at my work that was essentially a 6% pay increase for a 100% workload increase, all in addition to my basic responsibilities. The best part? Now that it's off my plate, doing my main job is a breeze and I have time for exercise and hobbies rather than working nights and weekends to crank out random projects that never actually go anywhere. Story 72, therapy, medication, and support from family and friends. Exercise helps a lot too. I lived a rather sedentary lifestyle, but in small steps, quite literally, I started doing activities outdoors. I still have problems, but with the help I've received, my mental health has improved. Story 73, I used the Finch app. I have daily tasks including take medication, eat breakfast, step outside, listen to music, and do one bit of housework. In the all you nature a cute bird and send him on adventures. The app also has tools for mental health support. For example, it has breathing exercises. Story 74. Honestly, eating well. And by well, I mean well within the means of vegetables and fruits, as well as lean meats. I am recently recovering from having an addiction to bad foods, so to treat my body with absolute care is so important, especially as someone with Crohn's disease. Plus, your gut health is connected to your mental health, so it makes sense. You can still enjoy unhealthy things, but within reason. Can't believe it took me like 25 years of my life to realize this simple concept. I was still and stupid for a while. Story 75. My wife and I going to marriage counseling. We weren't as bad as some, but we had plenty of room for improvement. The worst part about it was kicking myself for not going to counseling 10 years ago. For me, it made everything better. I was having a hard time functioning much at all with the prospect of divorce hanging over my head. Now we're enjoying the best years of our marriage by far, but it's definitely taken both of our efforts. Story 76. I was too busy to develop hobbies and just plop down to watch TV or scroll my phone. I tried one little craft and realized how much I enjoy doing things with my hands. Puzzles, working with clay, embroidery, cards, coloring books, finding out what I like, buying a few modest supplies and treating myself to an enjoyable task or hobby I could easily do like an hour a day was life-changing. Sad, huh? Story 77, getting into the K-pop group Geidel. Before I got into them, I used to get hospitalized for mental issues or evaluated every few months and had really bad mental health. But after getting into the groups, I got hospitalized once for an eating disorder. Story 78. I've never had bad mental health per se, but life for the most part does get humdrum. Deciding to put myself first, to become a better version of me for my loved ones, really helped shake things up. My life is not a roller coaster ride by any means, but it is a lot less humdrum. Story 79. I stopped following the news closely. I used to listen to Up First in the Daily every morning and some other topical show at night, plus a daily summary and often a deep drive during lunch. Now I read the summary and occasional skim. I avoid the political ones unless there's something notable. And I replace podcasts with audiobooks and love it. I'm less informed by a lot, but still enough. And my mental health is so much better. Story 80, job security, housing security, and being paid more. It's amazing how much better you feel when your entire existence is not constantly under threat. I know that this thread, the responses and similar discussions overall come from good intentions, but personally, I'm getting tired of mental health being spoken so much in terms of individual responsibility and finding the right set of little daily rituals that could take the edge off when so much damage is systemic. I understand that one has to help themselves and whatnot, but as a society, We really need to start having a bigger conversation about how damaging to both society and the individual everything about late-stage capitalism is. How is one supposed to be mentally healthy if they're under constant threat of eviction by their landlord, if their rent/insurance/bills/expenses are constantly going up, but their paycheck isn't, and has stagnated over an entire decade? If they're on a 0-hour contract or a subcontractor or work in a right-to-work state, or their job is under constant threat of outsourcing, if they have to work so long and so much time of their days is eaten by commute that they can't find for friends and hobbies, if they can't afford to travel or just stop the rat race for long enough to feel human, a brisk walk or meditation is really not the answer to that. Story 81. Cutting off relationships that were abusive and couldn't change, learning to have boundaries, starting to enjoy my own company and time alone by walking and journaling, getting into therapy, getting the correct diagnosis, taking clomipramine, working through EMDR therapy, yoga, getting enough sleep, surrounding myself with people who call out my strengths and stalk around when I'm down. Story 82. Got rid of my smartwatch for a nice mechanical watch and deleted all of my social media. Now when I go outside to smoke or just want to get up for a bit, there's no tech. Sometimes it's just nice to listen to the wind blow through the leaves. Edit grammar. Story 83. After a hospital stay in an adult psychiatry ward that did DBT, dialectical behavior treatment, and had improvement, I was admitted to an intensive, partial hospitalization outpatient DBT program for about 6 months. 3 years ago, and it was a game changer after years of trying so many other things. Story 84. Leaving my father's house, leaving his and all religion, and then leaving the military, in that chronological order. There's a lot to be said for the value of having structure and discipline in one's life, but it's also possible to have too much of a good thing. Learning why and how to pull the stick out of my own ass has been a journey, let me tell you, but it has paid dividends. The last lesson I'm still working on is how to be less judgmental, but that's also the most difficult one to achieve because it's so effective as a means of keeping my life free of unwanted drama. Story 85. I can independently handle things now without depending too much on my doctor. Checkups are rare, more calm. I am more firm to reject what is bad for my bodies and health. I don't seek validation because of being educated and after analyzing my experience in the past. Strengthening my spirituality as a Catholic played so much in healing. It's not perfect. I'm still encountering some down moments, but still, it's real progress for me. Story 86. Sleep. I dealt W insomnia for about 2.5 years, and it absolutely wrecked me. My yearly AVG for sleep was just over 3 HRS a night. Long story short, got tested, and it turns out I needed a CPAP machine. Some 6 months later, I'm finally hitting 8 HRS or more a night. I got my life and brain back. Consistent lack of sleep made for a very cognitively diminished man. Story 87. I stopped watching true crime videos / shows. I used to be like, nah, this shit doesn't bother me, but I think it was deep down. I've been sleeping much better since I stopped watching those type of videos before going to bed. I now only watch them when my headspace is okay enough. Story 88. I've been on antidepressants for years now, and I have found that the times I'm at my best are when I manage to follow a solid routine and wake up before the world gets busy. One of my best early morning activities is cold water swimming in the ocean and watching the sunrise. It's a moment of pure mindfulness and body awareness. Also, a rather new development for me. I switched from the pill to a copper IUD about 3 months ago. The change in hormones has been a lifesaver for me. I've actually stopped taking antidepressants and I'm starting to feel like myself again. Interested to know if any other women have had a similar experience. Story 89. Decision to stop offering unsolicited advice, help to people. Knowing self-worth and not wasting my time, skill, efforts on people who don't deserve it. These people often exhibit zero gratitude and take you for granted or even ridicule you. Often they don't like your suggestions / truth, but they only wanted to hear what they want to hear. Let them make mistakes and learn. Don't interrupt the flow. Story 90. Not caring about work as much. It used to be my identity before the pandemic, but I realized, after the world slowed down, it doesn't mean anything. I just do enough to get noticed, not fired, and that's all. Life and my mental health are way better. Story 91. I gave up a shift at work. I'm union full-time to go down to 4 days. I now am never more than 2 days away from a day off. My sleep has improved, my disposition has improved, and I'm really not losing any money because I am more productive when I am at work. Story 92. Keeping myself productive, not having a lot of idle time. If I'm not working, I make sure I get some sunshine and fresh air. Walking or running are nice ways to naturally cure brain fog or negative feelings. Surround yourself with people who love you unconditionally. If possible, stay away from people who are critical of you. Lastly, reading and listening to music are cheap ways to uplift your spirit. I do believe that reading reframes your brain. Regardless, mental health is something that needs to be taken care of in a continuous basis. Strive to maintain good habits to keep your mental health in shape. Story 93. Deep. Clean your house every day. Take walks in the evening, and when you start feeling better, take up a hobby. Cleaning your house helps to declutter your mind, and taking walks helps with physical tiredness. Your brain needs sleep. A proper sleep is cure to most things. Story 94. Moving near nature into a more quiet setting. Move from an expensive area of town to a lower cost of living area 25 minutes outside of town near nature. We doubled our square footage, have a ton of south-facing windows with bright natural light all day, backing to green space and a forest with hiking trails. It's quiet enough at night to sleep with the windows open, and I hear birdsong every morning. I've had anxiety and depression my entire life, and moving has instantly helped to a degree nothing else could. Story 95. A big turning point for me happened about 20 years ago when I read a book titled No More Mr. Nice Guy. It showed me how my trying to be the nice guy was really setting myself up to have unrealistic expectations in relationships and be passive-aggressive. Not for everyone, but it was for me. Story 96. Food. Eating real whole food. That means meat and fish, eggs, cheese and veggies, fruit, and water. Everything else that has some extra degree of processing is off. Candies, sodas, snacks, bread, chips, pastries, cereals, alcohol, prepackaged meals, you name it. The difference was night and day. I was shocked. Still am that such a simple thing would make the hugest impact. Story 97. Cutting friends. Not that there is anything wrong with my friends, but I need tons of recharge time on my own, and I find whenever I have friends, they always require a lot of your time. I have a very people-based job that always requires being on, so all I crave is my own time. I love my own company, and while I like people and my friends, I am much more mentally charged, keeping them at a distance. I would choose my own company any day. Story 98. Go offline. I've been working remotely for 3 years. Initially, it was enjoyable, but over time, I noticed a decline in my productivity, mental health, physical condition, and work-life balance. Surprisingly, returning to the office has allowed me to spend more time with my family, even though it seems counterintuitive. Story 99. Deleting social media. Started as a 1-week detox after seeing my screen time at embarrassing amounts, but grew into a new lifestyle. 1 week turned into 5, and I'm more productive at work, spend more time with my wife, and generally feel less anxious and stressed overall. It's also helped with compulsive spending habits. Highly recommend it, even just for a week or two. Story 100. Having plans but going with the flow. Romanticizing mundane parts of my day like cooking or doing the dishes. I've made them more enjoyable in turn, feeling much happier and actually motivated to do them. My favorite thing to do, though, is notice the glimmers, the small moments that make me smile or feel good to be alive. All the best to you. Story 101. Unironically, Office Space. That movie has some good lessons. I've stopped giving a fuck about a lot of things, not neglecting anything, but I've stopped caring what others think of me. I don't have anxiety over losing my job. I can always find another job. I was at one of the low points in my life when I saw it. Haven't been back there since. Don't plan to. Story 102. Stopping to breathe when I'm feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated, etc. Whatever the problem, it can wait a moment. Standing up for myself, speaking up, gave me confidence and no more kicking myself later because I didn't assert myself. Story 103. If it takes less than 5 minutes, just do it. I would avoid everything until it was a mountain. Then I started putting in 5 minutes of effort, and I found I could usually keep going if I started. Kept pushing myself, and realized everything wasn't as overwhelming as I thought. But if I truly only had 5 minutes in me, I had accomplished what I set out to do, and I didn't get down on myself. Then I made the hardest chores, cleaning, something I looked forward to, because of how I felt after I had accomplished something. Kept focusing on how good it felt to be in a clean space.